rhythm, but same thing. It doesn't work
Yeah.
as well, but they're doing it.
Brett, did you start DJing out of necessity for the production when you were like, I need to start playing this out?
Yeah, and I actually so I went kind of a weird route. So I got my first pair of turntables when I was like 12, I think, and they were like the worst turntables ever. They were like a belt drive, kind of like the Walmart equivalent of like
Yeah, the
turntables.
kit.
Just like yeah, and I learned to kind of DJ on them and like how to go at scratching and scratch badly, and I like borrowed my parents' vinyl and like just
Shoot it
completely
up.
Pour it up.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And so I did that first, and that I'm so glad I did that because it really like made me understand, like how to actually put two records together and everything, and again, it's just like a nice limitation. But then I went to CDs, but I went to CDs again. I couldn't afford proper CDJs, so I had the CDJs with like the lid, that kind of like popped open, and then you put the CD in, and then you push it back down again.
Yeah.
So I had them, and again, it was a cool way to like learn that things were kind of digital now, and like learning it that way. But when it actually came to like DJing the first time for shows, I went straight to Ableton, and the only reason I did that was because that's what I knew at the time, because that's what I used to use to produce. So yeah, it's just like that was comfortable for me. But and also like it was kind of a new thing at the time, and lots of people were using like MIDI controllers and stuff. So that's the kind of route I went down, and I did that for like a good few years. But then after a while, I kind of got sick of like carting around like a laptop and carting around like a heavy MIDI controller and everything. And the other thing was like getting to shows, and then the promoters thinking that I'm going to use CDJs, and then I turn up with this big fucking controller that has to like go on top of this CDJs, and then I have to plug it in, and then it's like I'm like dancing around the DJ, before me, like trying to find a plug to put.
Where's the out?
Yeah.
And obviously it's pitch black, so you have to use your phone to like
It's
see.
the Rube Goldberg contraption, really. You're like the ball comes down, knocks the guy into the pool.
Now you're like on the right side of the booth instead of the center.
Yeah,
Exactly. So after a while, I was just like, "Fuck this!" Like,
Yeah.
so and by that time, flash drives and USBs were like full swing by that time. So I was like, "Yeah."
Wait, hold on. Sorry to interrupt you, but what if they had what if they had a fixed spotlight on the middle?
Yeah, I know. I literally don't know how I did it for so long, but I did.
You gotta put your head over to the spotlight, make sure everybody knows it's you.
Coming up next, we have. I'm just going to be over here for the next hour.
And I don't know if you've tried to like put something on top of a CDJ, but they are not flat. It's like kind of like this and like moving all the time.
God forbid if you're scratching anything on top of the CDJ platter where it's like... God. Yeah, it's... yeah, I've seen someone show up with a desktop before.
Oh, yeah.
And DJ.
Oh, yeah.
They brought the iMac desktop and
Wait a
then
minute,
plugged
Just
it
the
in.
screen? Yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen that.
But
You
yeah,
could
didn't
just
I
plug in to
didn't I
Serato.
send you that recently, Colin?
There's been a few. Yeah, there's been a few. Which is like, yeah, I get it. You don't want to drive to work. You're going to walk to work or do something bizarre like that, but, the Ableton approach was huge, though, during that time, because I know so many people that out of necessity had to start DJing because they're like, we got a couple big songs here. People are asking me to play this out live. And I'm sure the last thing was like, oh, fuck, I need to go do this live, or even a live PA where you're replaying the songs live, where you're, performing them, whatever. It's a lot for a producer-based producer compared to I'm a DJ that also produces, and now I'm big and I'm this and that. It's a different way of thinking,
Yeah, I mean, you definitely like both have their advantages. Obviously, like you say, like if you're gonna do a semi kind of live set, and you know, and I used to do that. I used to have, you know, if I was like doing one of my own songs, I'd have like a drum stem and like a vocal stem, and like you know, kind of do like basically live mixing of a song or whatever. And to a certain extent, I do miss that because it was fun. But nowadays, I just, you know, do an edit beforehand, and then the songs that I play on the CDJs are, you know, the edits of the songs. So it's like you don't have the freedom to kind of do a live performance anymore, but it's still like only I have those like special versions of the song. So you're still like seeing a performance of the song that you wouldn't see anywhere else. You'd have to come to that live show to see it. But yeah, it definitely isn't like. And I still find it fun. It's just like a different challenge because obviously with Ableton, everything's in time, so you can't go out of time. There's not, you know, obviously you can mix, but you know, the actual beat matching part of it isn't really a problem. So whereas obviously with CDJs, it's like unless you're using sync or whatever, you know, you have to you know, a beat match, and that's the challenge. That's the thing that you're thinking about all the time, and what song am I going to play next, rather than you know, getting the performance of the song right or whatever. So.
Did you have interest in DJing before you became a producer? Was that ever like, I like hearing songs mixed together, I like performance of that?
Yeah, I mean, again, that goes back to when I was a kid and when I got my turntables for the first time. You know, I had them before I ever like started making music. So so DJing definitely kind of came first, and like I say, like mess around with vinyls and early CDJs, and then I kind of fell into the production thing.
When was that?
Must have been probably about 2003, 2004. So it would have been about 13, 14. I think I had like a dodgy copy of Cubase or something, and was like messing around with that for a little while. And then
That's so sick. Like a 13 or 14-year-old kid just being like,
yeah,
I'm gonna try this shit.
And
I'm gonna fuck up mom's computer and just try this shit.
So by the time I was 17, and I put out like because I put music out before I was 17, but like that was the first kind of attempt at being like, you know, a full-time musician. This is what I want to do, kind of thing.
How old were you when Love came out?
17. So
sick.
I still kind of think I was too young at the time, because like I say, I got the management, I got a booking agent at that age, and my management was in London, and like I say, I live like 2 hours away, so I would always like go into London, meet them, and they had like big people on their roster. And here was me, this like 17-year-old kid who like was cocky and thought he knew it all and everything. And you know, they're talking about contracts and this term and that term and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I had no idea what anything meant. So you're just like thrown in the deep end to like quickly learn everything. But then also the opportunities at the time, you know, I had some really cool opportunities thrown my way, but I was like too early in my career to like, you know, I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. I hadn't perfected my sound or anything like that. So it was like, you know, when they're like, oh, okay, we've got you this remix, you need to remix this person. And I'm just like, I have no idea how to approach this or what I'm doing. You know, it's like, so yeah, I kind of regret starting so young.
That's interesting. That's an interesting statement, because I feel like most people would say the opposite. I regret starting so late, and I wish.
$1,000,000%. $1,000,000%. As far as even having that diligence to buckle down and stay focused. You know, as you're 17, you're like, fuck, I don't know. Guess I'm gonna go smoke weed with my friends, you know, and to even be like, hey, I put out a song and people think I'm fucking Daft Punk now, you
Yeah.
know,
Like, if that shit happened to me at 17, I'd be the worst.
The worst.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me I wasn't fucking Justin
Yeah.
Bieber, dog.
Right. And I would have so
Bitch,
many
I am
chains
Daft
too.
Punk.
yeah,
I would have chains. I would have cars and everything. I would be
ruin my
acting
life
so
immediately.
ignorant, bro.
yeah. I was like, I don't know, pick my nose and go to the movies. I don't know, you know, you're like, yeah,
I'm still in my senior year. Like, bitch, people think I'm Daft Punk.
yeah.
I would tell people I'm the third member.
Yeah, for real.
Here he is. No, it's fucking wild, and I think too, it is easy at that young age to have that star burn out, and you have to do twice as much or 3 times as much work to be like, hey, I'm not a flash in a pan here. This is my passion. This is my love. I don't give a fuck who you compare me to. I don't compare who you think I am. This is me putting out the artistry, and I'm here for a while, even though I'm 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like my career has been like a weird one because I haven't like shot to the top or anything anytime, you know, it didn't happen like very quickly. It's been like up and down, but I've much preferred it that way. And so if it was like I was 17 and I mean, being compared to Daft Punk is epic, but like if I was like, that was it, and I was, you know, this massive, huge fucking household name and everyone knew me, it's like I would hate that. And that's why I see like people like Pink Panthers. She's like 21. It's like she came out when fucking Shrek came out. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like that's how young she is. And it's like yeah, I'm just like, to be that big now, like she's almost getting to that point now where she's like a household name, you know, and it's like she's still a baby, so it's like, you know, it's I don't know how you can like have a hold on a career that young, because you're still like figuring yourself out. Like when I think back to when I was 21, I still didn't have like my shit together, you know, so I still don't have my shit together now. So.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple of those artists though in our industry. Madeon being another one. You know, Martin Garrix, Zed even. You know, where it's like everything happened so quick, and on the flip side of things, people are like, "There's no such thing as overnight celebrity." Blah blah blah. This was a lot of years in the working. It's like at that time that could happen. I don't know necessarily if that could happen now, where another scenario similar to yours, where people had a mistaken identity and then became fans of the artist. I don't know if that's possible now.
In a way, I kind of like, I'm so happy that it's gone the way it has, because you can kind of drop in and drop out when you kind of want, you know, it's like you can rub shoulders with this person who's like fucking massive, but then it's like they can't turn it off, you know, it's like 24/7 for them, whereas for me it's just like I go back to, you know, being same old. So you know, I'd much prefer that. And the thing is all my heroes are like that as well. When I think to like the Chemical Brothers or Daft Punk to a certain extent, you know, it's like they could walk past you in the street and no one would turn their head, you know. And I love that. I love that sort of, you know, no one should go after fame, because I think fame's just this fucking stupid thing that you don't need. You know, you'd rather go after just like having a healthy career and being able to, like, you know, I'm very fortunate that this is my job. You know, my job is my passion, which is making music, and that's what I get to do all day, every day. So, you know, to me, it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels, you know, like I'm making shit up every day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel very fortunate that like I can do that. So
it loses its luster when it's paycheck dependent. You know.
Yeah.
And
I still like deadlines, and I still like big opportunities and stuff. And the thing is as well is like, I've told this story before, but there was a time when I think it was about 2015, I put out a song which was like, it was called The Receiver, and it was quite like mainstream house, like more commercial than I would usually go. And I had written this song and I knew it had this particular sound to it, and I put it out, and it got 2 plays on BBC Radio 1 by Pt.2, and both times he played it at the start of his show, like the first song. And so I knew that he really liked it, and because of that, it got the attention of a bunch of A&Rs, and A&Rs would email me and say, "We really like this song. Have you got any more like this? Would you like to come down to like our offices, and we'll have a meeting about representing you?" And there was a big management company at the time who managed like Calvin Harris and The Prodigy and like all these like massive people. And I did go down to London and I had a meeting with them. And at that time, I'd just written my debut album, and I hadn't put it out yet, and it was ready to go. And I sat down in the meeting with them, and I was like, "This is what I've got. This is what I have to offer." And they were basically like, "We don't want this. We want more songs like The Receiver, and we will only take you on if you want to write more songs like this." And so I was just like, well, I can't do it to myself. I can't, and it's one of those decisions where I always go over it and think, did I make the right decision? Because it's like, fucking hell, like the reach that they had and everything. But then it's like, you have to be true to yourself. And if I was just going to write the same song over and over and over again, just for the money and the, to sell things, it's just, I don't know, if my heart's not in it, then I can't do it. It's the same with anything. If I sit in a room with someone and the pressure is there to write a hit or whatever, and you're kind of forced to write something, it's like, that's where I write my worst shit, because the pressure is there or whatever, and it doesn't feel natural, it doesn't come natural. It's kind of manufactured and forced. So so there's been a few moments like that where it's like my career could have gone in one way, but I just chose to kind of keep the control and just like ride it, rather than just go to the top and then it all come crashing down like 2 years later or something. So
I mean, it would have been cool. Don't get like, of course, it would have been super sick, but like,
I think you got to look at what goes along with that.
It's cosplay.
You might not have dug the shit you made, and that sucks. That's a feeling that's got to be a drag. Is like, I made a whole album of bullshit, and now you got to tour it. Now you got to fucking live with it for at least 2 years.
It's going to Comic-Con and dressing up as the new Captain America, and then having to do that every single day.
Do that shit every single day. You're like, I made one song hoping it would just, make its rounds and get some love.
And the thing is, as well, is that like I've seen that now, that there's like being on the inside, looking at what different artists portray on the outside, you suddenly realize like so many people are unaware of like so many artists and even DJs are brands now, and that's all they are. They're a name, they're a brand, they're a brand, so they can put on a t-shirt, and that like in certain cases, like they don't even write their songs, other people write their songs, and whether that's ghost producers or whether that's like, just like writing camps or whatever. And it's like I would hate to be that, fair enough if you're rolling in it and if the money's good or whatever, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. But I just, I love this because I love
when you
writing.
have the ability.
Yeah.
When you have the ability to do it yourself and you made it this far doing it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
It would suck to be like, all right, well, we're going to let these guys do it.
Yeah. People pay for the talent, they pay for that ability to be as good of a producer as you are, where you're like, I would be, you know, faking the artistry, the love, my passion, you know.
Yeah.
You'd be cheating
Definitely.
yourself.
Now, has a label had you in a writing camp before for an artist?
Yeah.
And how was that experience?
Yeah, good. It's like you know, they'll like hire out a studio, and then you know, maybe there's like 3 or 4 producers and maybe another 3 or 4 like singer songwriters or something, and then they kind of pair you up with this person and pair you up with that person. Sometimes they're like over a weekend, sometimes they're a full week, and then you're just like pitching for something. So usually there's like almost like a head producer or a head artist who oversees all the different rooms, and they know what they're after and they know what they're looking for. And so in a sense, it's kind of like a competition between you and the other producers as to who can write the best song. And then at the end of the weekend or the week or whatever, whoever has the best song kind of takes it.
And is it like a one song thing, or is it you guys just cranking out as much?
Yeah, I mean, if you can write 2 in that space, then and they get picked, then they get picked. But
yeah, I guess that just ups your chances.
Yeah, but I guess the problem is that obviously it's kind of long hours, and it's a, you know, there's a deadline at the end of it, and also it's, you kind of in a rush to get the idea out first. So it's like you're in that room with that singer-songwriter, so you kind of have to get the most out of them first. You have to get the arrangement out first and make sure there's a strong verse, a strong chorus, and everything. All the bells and whistles and the final stuff can come later. Yeah, but like when I'm back here and
after they've chosen the song.
Exactly.
Because now we can really elaborate.
Yeah. And I always thought that writing camps were a kind of a new thing, but they actually go back quite a number of years now. Like people were doing it like as far back as like the late 80s or whatever. We're still, you know, getting people together, and to a certain extent, Stock Aitken and Waterman, who were in the UK, who did, you know, Kylie Minogue and Dead or Alive and Rick Astley and things like that. That's basically what they were. You know, there was just the 3 of them, and they would bring different artists in and different session musicians, and it was, you know, they called themselves the Hit Factory because that's basically what they were. It was like, you know, one person in, one person out. It was kind of like this well-oiled kind of machine. And you know, it worked. You know, it was a successful kind of machine. And the same with all the 90s like boy band stuff, and even to a certain extent like Max Martin, you know, he's kind of the same kind of thing where it's, you know, this machine or whatever. So it's not a new thing, and it is fun, but it's kind of a competition.
Industry has always been an industry.
Yeah.
Is Kylie Minogue as cool as she seems?
Yeah, she's cool. She's really small.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. She's like can't get you out of my head is just like, it still goes. It still rings off, you know? And Kylie is one of those people that I feel is doing a service in her vision. Same with Robin, you know, just kind of those people that are like, I like this kind of pop music. I know you're feeding the numbers and you're feeding yourself at the same time. And I think you're doing it in such a tasteful way to where it doesn't seem contrived.
Yeah. And this is funny you mentioned Can't Get Me Out of Your Head, because that song was written by a writer called Kathy Dennis. And Kathy Dennis is from the same city that I'm from, called Norwich. And she also wrote I Kissed the Girl by Katy Perry. And she also wrote Toxic by Britney Spears. So she's like this powerhouse writer. So when I met Kylie, it was like, you know, by that time it was like 2014 or something. So she was almost like in a not like a slump, but like her albums weren't doing as well as they were like when she was like working with Kathy and stuff. So, yeah, it was odd to see her like she was like wearing a hoodie, you know, and like like you know, she's this glitz and glamorous kind of personality, and then she's just there backstage in a hoodie, like
Beautiful as ever, I bet.
Did you guys end up working together?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. No, it's funny because like at that time, I'd actually just done a remix for Madonna, and I got paid to do it. And
hold on. For the listeners, who'd you do a remix for? It's just for the listeners.
And apparently Madonna has to approve all of her remixes. Like, so I did it. I got paid. They sent it to her. She approved it. It was gonna come out, and then at the last second, the label changed their mind on what the single was gonna be. So it never came out. So Sony still owns my remix, and it's in a vault somewhere. But I can say I've remixed Madonna, but you can't hear it. So
Awesome.
it's a pretty shit situation.
Yeah, until you get that call from Sony saying,
That
"Yo, we're
15,
doing
20
a Madonna
year
remix."
anniversary.
Yeah, you're gonna get that 15,
Yeah.
20 year anniversary with
Yeah.
your remix on it.
That's
have a
nice.
Who
feeling
else
that
is like that is JK from Jamiroquai.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
He's very particular about choosing who gets to remix or like what remixes get approved.
There's been a few things like that. Another one I don't like name dropping, but I'm name dropping.
That's why you're here, man.
I did a song with Fatboy Slim, and it was all done remotely, so it was over lockdown, and we were emailing each other back and forth, and yeah, it like the song like had basically just got to a certain point, and we were both kind of just done with it. Like it just kind of hit a brick wall, and I didn't want to force it. I didn't want to be like, you know, we must finish this,
right?
You know. It was just like, well, if it's not going to be, it's not going to be. And I still got to remix him, and we still put the remix out. But yeah, I have actually done an original song with Norman, so that's
incredible,
crazy.
man.
Yeah, and he was like my idol as a kid. Like he's one of the reasons why I got into dance music and got into DJing in the first place. So
Same.
You know, it was like a pinch me moment to be chatting to him. So
When you call him by his first name, then you know it's real.
That's the real. Yeah.
Good old Norman.
Yeah, right.
It's
So
just
cool.
wild because that didn't necessarily have all the makings for an international crossover, but once it hit, you couldn't get rid of it. You know, it was praise you over and over and over and over again. And I think we were all a little too young to really observe the impact.
Oh, 100%. We weren't outside yet.
No. And to understand, hey, this is kind of an anomaly here. But there's a Spike Jones video that goes with it, and Spike's been, you know, striking gold with every video and stuff like that. And it's like, for the longest time, we didn't know who Fatboy Slim was.
Right.
You know, we were just like, I just saw this
looking
video
for
of
a
these
fat
people
guy.
working out. Yeah.
Looking for a fat guy.
Yeah, we saw these
Precisely.
people working out in the music video or doing this dance routine, and you're like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who the hell this is.
Yeah.
Now in the UK, you guys were like, oh, finally, way to catch up. The United States, you know.
But see,
like,
you guys go outside a lot sooner than us, though, right?
They-
Like
yeah.
you guys are
Yeah,
outside.
they're
at
outside at like
16.
18 years old.
yeah,
Aren't you guys allowed
yeah.
to drink when you're 18 or 16 or
Yeah.
some shit?
yeah.
So
Yeah, this is old hat. By the time Fatboy
Right.
Slim blew up, you know, even us getting Daft Punk, we were slow to that. You know,
I mean, shit. Even us getting in sync, Man in
Right.
the Woods, man. We were
Right.
slow to that too.
Can we
And,
talk
hey,
about?
sorry, Nick. Sorry, Nick. Come back, Nick. Come back.
We have to talk about like the term EDM, right? I find this fascinating because the term EDM in the UK, if you ask anyone into dance music, you know, whether they're a DJ or an artist or perhaps just a fan or whatever, EDM, they will say it like it's a genre. They will say, "Oh yeah, EDM, that's that Swedish House Mafia sound from
Right,
2011. You know, that
right.
festival, massive, you know, like trancey kind of pad sound,
Right.
super saw sound. Um, yeah, when you talk about EDM in America, it's like you're talking about all of electronic music, like it's this umbrella for house and techno and all, you know, all these different genres.
Right.
I find that fascinating that like there is this divide on the term, but I think a lot of it surely is probably because of that kind of lateness that America had to the kind of commercial side of dance music. You know,
Right.
it's like over here and in Europe, it was like, you know, it kind of been around since the 80s. You know, the UK really like fell in love with the American acid house scene, like like before America did. It was mental. Like all the big acid house DJs of like the early to mid 80s were like getting number ones in the UK, but weren't even charting in America. So it's like it's crazy. And then, you know, obviously the 90s became like, you know, more kind of, sort of commercialized. But in terms of like the spectrum of EDM in the spectacle of EDM in the sense of like headlining a show and massive festivals and everything, I feel like because America was so late to that, maybe that's why the term EDM is like this umbrella, and for us we associate the term EDM with almost like America's
Loghouse.
yeah, but almost like America's discovery of dance music.
Right.
That's how we
you know,
kind of see it.
I think I think
right.
too that it has a lot to do with over there you guys embrace Black house music producers, whereas over here I feel like there's been a there's been a want to kind of denounce Black producers from house music, so they're going to call it EDM.
It's not house.
Not house.
I also have a theory that it might be something to do with radio, because here in the UK, like radio, we don't really have specialized radio. Like radio is radio, so you can hear like a pop song, then an R&B song, then a dance song, then you know, like all these different stuff one after the other. Whereas I know in America it's like specialized radio, you know, so it's like if you want to listen to hip hop, there's a hip hop station. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was gonna say. Was I think that's more so what it is more than anything is categorization. In we talked about this a million times, but back in the day, like the 90s, early 2000s, anything electronic, any dance music was just called techno.
Techno. Yeah.
Just like if you didn't know what it was techno.
Like Eminem said, nobody listens to techno.
Nobody listens to techno.
He was talking about Moby, and it's like, are you out of your fucking to just be like, this is Moby, the techno artist? You're like, I don't think that's a fair assessment.
Doesn't quite fit. Daft Punk.
This is Daft Punk, the techno artist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a negative catch-all.
Yeah, and so
I think United States got that with EDM. Go ahead.
And so on cable we had, in which, because I mean here in Las Vegas, and I know like even Cali, we didn't have a lot of like dance music radio, so you had Music Choice, and Music Choice had electronic dance or electronic. It was just electronic music. It wasn't electronic music, dance music. So when electronic dance music, that term came, I think it just, at least for most people, it just sounded like, okay, that's what we're calling house. We're calling techno. We're calling dubstep. We're calling all of it.
Yeah, because
dance music is just electronic
umbrella.
Dance music.
Yeah.
And I can see why, but like when somebody says EDM, like referring to like, I don't know, in my mind, I know how to, like, if we're talking, I know when you're referring to the genre versus the umbrella term.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the umbrella term truly is just dance music, not electronic dance music. But like, that just seems like a shorter way of saying it.
I'm curious though, if someone said EDM to you in the UK, what are the first three artists that would come to mind?
Just that commercial. So, like I say, probably a lot of the like Swedish and Norwegian names that became massive in America, like Swedish House Mafia and Avicii, Afrojack, Martin Garrix. You know, like probably all of those guys. That's probably the go-to. But then also in that umbrella, you've kind of got David Guetta and Tiesto, Calvin Harris. You know, all those people.
But it would never be Giorgio Moroder, EDM artist.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
See,
because some people,
would.
Yeah. You know, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny because you're not wrong at all. Like,
no.
EDM is that, but also, like, it seems wrong to not, because EDM just means electronic dance music. It's like, why the fuck wouldn't Giorgio be EDM? Why the fuck wouldn't Daft Punk be EDM?
It's because it's offensive to put him next to Guetta
or Afrojack or Steve Aoki or LMFAO.
Because you're like, never. I would you know, like, Your Majesty, I would never put you in this category. You know,
it seems silly. And
but I think it's the change from clubs to festivals. I think that's what it is. I think that's what people's problem is because dance music here had always been like nightclubs. You know, the UK in the 90s, the UK had so many fucking nightclubs, like literally thousands and thousands of nightclubs, and that number's kind of been steadily like declining ever since. We still have a lot, but like in the 90s we had fucking loads. And that whole culture and the whole Ibiza thing was such a, you know, DJs DJ in nightclubs, you know, bands play at festivals and at venues. And then suddenly there was that change where now DJs aren't playing in the dark in a booth in the corner. They're in the middle of the stage with all these lights on and fireworks and everything else.
They become a band.
Yeah, they became a band. They became a headliner. They became, you know, eyes were on them for the first time rather than they're just, you know, in the background. And I think that's people's issue. I think that's the like I say, it's the commercialized side of it. Even though dance music had been commercial before, and especially in the chart and stuff, but I think it's something to do with that. That shift in the industry around that time, around like 2010-ish, or maybe even slightly before then.
Because that's when that term was born. Was what's that? 2010, 11.
Yeah,
that's when EDM became EDM. And nobody was using it before then. They were dance music. The term dance music exists, but like electronic dance music shortened to EDM.
It was derogatory.
It wasn't I don't think at the time it was derogatory until it became derogatory.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think at the time it really was just electronic dance music. We're like, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's what it is.
Because people didn't know where to put all of this.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It is the hip hop and the urban thing. It's the same thing. It's like
same thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you call all of hip hop and, you know, R&B urban, put it all together under urban, it's like you know,
it's just black music. Like
exactly.
And now you're saying EDM, and it's like, okay, it's dance music. House and techno aren't the same, and techno and dubstep aren't the same, but we're just throwing it all together.
Yeah.
But they're all
maybe
black
we should
music,
just eliminate EDM. We should just stop calling it that. The same way we stopped calling it urban.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny, and I think it goes back to the respect that the UK has for DJs and dance music as well.
Yes.
I think it was more novelty when it blew up in the States.
Yeah.
It was almost viewed as what are these people trying to call a sport? Why would you say this is a sport? You know, when it's like, this is real producers making electronic music, but you don't just hear EDM and you're like, oh, these are just kids at a festival taking Molly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it became very a caricature of
Yeah.
itself compared to maybe, you know, I think techno was very disrespected when everything was called, oh, that's just techno.
Correct.
I think it was just a misnomer, which is fine, you know, but I think that was used as a derogatory term as well for the ignorance of the genre.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not going to figure, I don't care what this, it's techno. You know, that's like how people approached it. And in the UK, anyone off the streets would be like, you fucking idiot.
Right.
Like, this is house music, or this is trance.
Garage.
This is garage. Yeah, this is anything, you know. You can't, they would hear dubstep and be like, oh, this is techno. Turn this techno shit off. And that's always kind of the sentence that came after it. Turn this techno shit off.
It had to suck to make techno back then.
Yeah.
That had to suck. You're like, God damn it. No, this is techno.
Yeah.
Quit saying it like that.
I hate the term EDM. I think that it's still being used as a catch-all with like boomers and stuff like that.
I still find myself using it.
Yeah, I mean it's commercial dance music is EDM, and I think that's fair. But I also think too that a lot of people that had no idea about what Four on the Floor is were like, it's just fucking EDM,
right?
You know,
right.
You know,
it is an interesting concept because you're not wrong. We just had this whole fucking thing. It went on forever about EDM and the term.
I mean, that's why he's on the podcast because he heard.
Yeah, because it just went on forever. It went on forever. I still hear these fucking festival kids, these EDC kids, there's little snobs who think they know everything. Like, it's not EDM. Or it's like, okay, but it is dance music, right? And it is electronic,
that think
correct?
It started there. They think,
exactly.
This genre was invented when Afrojack dropped No Beef, you know, and you're like,
right,
what could I possibly tell you?
You have no fucking idea.
Everything's gonna sound antiquated and everything. If I play you house music from '95, if I play you CeCe Peniston, you're gonna be like, what is this Dua Lipa ripoff? You know,
you hit it on the head right there.
What is this Beyonce ripoff?
R&B.
Yeah, you hit it on the head right there. Thank you for saying
that's why it's so like such a mind fuck to think that it started in America, but it started way earlier than you think it started.
Way earlier.
And it's
late
like
80s.
but you like
in
you're
different
kind of
pigment too.
You kind of missed it the first time round. It's like it like dodged the radio and went over to the rest of the world and dodged America. And it's like, and that's why like I find it fascinating when you actually, you know, look into it and look into the history of it, and you find people like Ron Hardy and Larry Levan and Frankie Knuckles and, you know, all these people who were like there at the start. And it's like fascinating when if you find like their DJ sets and stuff and like the type of records they were playing and the type of records that were resonating with people and the type of records that they would play every set and you know,
see the settings of where these records were being played at, and then seeing the audience of these records being played at.
It's black gay music.
Man.
It's also like it completely skipped American mainstream until it was massive. Like,
and by that point it became like a white heterosexual thing, and you know, obviously it was never that in you know, at the start. So
it's very interesting.
I find it interesting that like it took someone like Kaytranada to kind of bring it back to like its roots.
Literally,
do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's taken that long. Like now we're getting to the point where there's like, you know, you can be a DJ from, you know, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, gay, straight, like trans, it doesn't matter. You know, you can be, you know, anyone could be a DJ, and anyone could be a producer. But like for a long time, it was like it
was still very taboo.
Yeah, definitely.
Like to be black and into dance music, or like somebody like Honey, who like Honey Dijon, like
Yeah.
is still like a spectacle, and now it's like, oh, that's just par for the course.
Yeah.
Well, like really, that's who made this shit.
Yeah, definitely.
And correct me if I'm
But-
wrong, but
Go
like
ahead.
garage, the genre is named that because of music that it's music that people thought would play at Paradise Garage.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
definitely.
House music literally happened right after disco.
Right.
Like Ron Hardy, or not Ron, but like Frankie Knuckles right into working at Paradise Garage,
Yeah.
into working at
Marshall
the warehouse.
Jefferson. Yeah.
One
Like-
of the most important garage records isn't even a garage record, and that's the Spin Spin Sugar remix that Armand Van Helden did.
Yeah.
And Armand Van Helden did that in the late, I think it was the mid 90s, actually, mid 90s. And DJs in the UK played it at the wrong speed. Because they thought when they bought it on vinyl, when they
45.
put the needle on, that it was this doesn't sound right, so they used to play at the wrong speed, and that basically became the foundation for garage. Like that one record pretty much changed, and London DJs were like, what the fuck is this, and tried to like copy it. And the other thing that I find fascinating about garage is that one of the key figures of UK garage isn't even from the UK, and that's Todd Edwards. So
Todd
it's
Edwards.
like, yeah, he's called UK Garage because by the time he played his first show in London, everyone fucking knew every single record that he'd ever put out. And so when there's that footage on YouTube where you can see him playing that gig for the first time in the late 90s, like coming to London for the first time, and it's like a black crowd, there's like hardly any white people there, and yeah, they all knew like every single song, because it was, by that point, UK Garage was like, the thing, and like two-step was like the thing at that time. But it's UK Garage, but it's by a Canadian. It's like, it's just bizarre, so bizarre.
Todd the God, the
Todd the
prominent
God.
EDM artist.
Todd.
EDM man, Todd Edwards. Oh my God.
Todd.
Colors is the new single. Tell us a little bit about that. First single, is it off the 5th studio album from you?
Yeah, fifth, yeah. So the album's like a bit kind of 80s. It's kind of like a 80s concept album. It's weird, like so far in my career, I've kind of like, every other album has been a different genre. So like the first album was pop, second one was electronic and club, and then I went back to pop, then I went back to club, and now I'm on my 5th. I thought I'd do pop again. So yeah, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's like an 80s throwback album, but I'm purposely trying to put as many of the original techniques from the 80s into the album, rather than being a modern album that just so happens to sound 80s. It's like I'm really trying to like limit myself to the techniques and the technology of that. So Colors is a really good example of that. It's like pretty much just a Lindrum, a Juno 60 for like most of it, and vocals, and that's kind of like the only limitation in it. And then most of the effects are like modern equivalent of like the digital reverbs that they were using back in the 80s. So like there's lots of like gated reverb on it and stuff that they were using in the 80s. So and most of the album, I'm still writing it. Like I've never done that. So every single album I've always finished it, then I put the singles out once it was done. But this time I wanted to try it where I was still writing it as I was putting out singles. So which is proving kind of difficult, but I'm still glad that I'm trying it, I'm doing it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm heading. I'm hoping to get the album out summertime, I think. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I love that. That's the Kanye West school of writing, huh? Where it was like, we're doing the show tomorrow. The album has not even been written yet. Let's those Donda rollouts where just
or that
25%
Nas
is
rollout.
done. Shows tomorrow.
Yeah, that Nas rollout is not even done yet.
Yeah.
An hour into the performance,
We're still riffing it.
Done.
But I like that though. That gives you the timelines and that gives you the deadlines to where you can be like, I'm inspired again. I have something that I have in mind here, and I'm ready to get back to work. I'm ready to, with an album.
What do we think to this kind of modern way of putting an album out and then changing it once it's out?
I'm surprised it's taken this long to start doing that.
Yeah.
It's very Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I wish, because of the platform that it's available on, like if this happened in the 90s or the early 2000s, they'd put out a whole new CD. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. What's the difference between that
version
and deluxe?
2.0 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would like that because now I would have the two.
Right.
Now it's like you can change my CD while I'm holding it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that kind of sucks because now I can't go back
Mhm.
if I preferred the old one.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Especially when you do shit like delete verses. And it's like, dude.
Now,
like,
are labels against putting out deluxe, or are they against editing while the album's out?
I don't think they're against either. I think they'll, depending
it's a
on
cash grab either way for them. They don't
Right.
give a
cash grab,
shit.
'cause people are going to go re-listen to it now.
Yeah.
A deluxe version, but you know what? It's probably better to make the edit because a deluxe version is technically a new album with new sales.
Okay. Right.
Or if you edit an album, you still keep all your old listens, so your numbers are still climbing.
True.
Now you're just giving a reason to bump it, so they probably prefer the edit.
Right.
Because
What do you think, Brett? What's your take?
I get it. I understand why they do it. There's songs that I've put out like in the last year where I've listened back to them now. I'm like, I wish that vocal was a little bit louder, or I wish that kick drum was a bit quieter, or whatever. You know, you're always gonna nitpick, and you're always gonna, that's just the perfectionist in you. But that's part of the process. I think that like you could keep going with a song forever, but it gets to a certain point where you're like, okay, I need to stop now. It's at a place that I'm happy with. I could keep changing things, but this is the song now, and I'm gonna stop and step away. But now, because of this, era where we can literally like upload a song or make it edit to a song, like, and it will be up in like 2 hours. Like the new version will be up in 2 hours. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems very like, where do you stop? There's no there's no end point. I know Skrillex has been doing it with his new album, and I know a lot of people are pissed off about that. Like, and it will be something as simple as like he removes a clap sample and or like adds a new part in, like a new vocal or a new synth part or something, and people prefer the old version. But like you say, like there's no way of going back to the old version. It's just gets overwritten by the new one. So yeah, I don't know. I guess Kanye is famous for doing it too, just like constantly changing and constantly, like adding a verse or taking away a verse or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know, like I think a lot of it has to do with we feel like things have to be rushed, so it's like something isn't done yet, but there's a deadline that you've set. This is the release date, this is when it's coming out, and then it gets to the release date, but you're not 100% happy with the song, but you have to put it out anyway. So then it comes out, and then it's like, well shit, I'm not finished. I now have this new version that's sitting on my hard drive that's different than the one that's on Spotify, so I'm gonna replace it. And so it's just like I wish people just like stopped thinking like you have to put something out really quickly, it's and I think a lot of that is because it's so easy to put things out, and that goes back to the SoundCloud thing, and even like MySpace to a certain extent, of like, I have this MP3 file on my computer that I've just exported from my DAW, and now I'm gonna put it up online like straight away. This, like, without even like thinking about it, like, you're excited about it. Oh, I've made this really dope song, I'm gonna put it out, and then you sleep on it for like, a couple of weeks whilst it's been out, and then you're like, I want to change it because this is wrong, that's wrong. Whereas if you like finished the song, then sat on it for 2 weeks, and then made the edit, and then put it out afterwards, you wouldn't have that problem. But it's that necessity of, just because I can put it out now and it can be out tomorrow, it's like, people need to learn to just sit on the songs for a little while.
You're dampening your craft by putting a rush on yourself. I know in the Kanye thing, it was like the release date had like it was like a numerology thing. So like that makes sense. You wanted to release it on 2222, but at the price of, a subpar product, I don't think that's worth it.
Right.
At the price of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right.
At the literal price of the fucking stadium.
Hey, speaking of deadlines.
Wait. Real quick.
Go ahead.
Quick. If you could go back now, would you roll out Love the same way?
Ooh.
No, I would change it. But I realize that people like it for how it sounds now, so I wouldn't change it out of that. But if I had my way, I probably would change it. But yeah, I mean, people, as soon as you let a song out into the world, it's no longer mine. It's like everyone else's.
Correct.
So
this is our song. This is
until
our
somebody
song.
wants to sample it.
Yeah, it kind of is, because people get really like protective of music, and it's the same with films. Like, the analogy you made of Star Wars is like perfect. Like people love those original films, and the fact that people can't get those original theatrical releases still, even today, it's like it pisses off so many people, because it's but that's, George Lucas wants you to have this version that he prefers, so it's like that's the only version, that's the only one that matters. So
have you ever considered doing like a 2023 version, like Mind Dimension,
like a what is it called, revisit or
rework, I guess?
rework?
Re-edit.
I know some people do that. Like, I know a lot of people will do like a 10-year anniversary or something, and do like a new club version of it,
like rearrange it almost.
Yeah, exactly. But
the extended version, make it 10 minutes long.
I don't know how I feel about it. I just feel like, if I keep going with it, it will just end up too different from what the original is. Like, Love is
still.
Yeah, and I think like Love is a good example, because like I would probably sample different sections of the song and like include that in. So then it's like, then it becomes something other than what it was originally. It's like you're adding more
similar,
to it,
but a totally different track.
Yeah, exactly. So
also, you were 17. You can't go back to the mind state of a 17-year-old.
Exactly, and that's why I really hate it when a lot of people like a band for a certain sound, and it's like this second that they change that, it's like, well, I preferred them. It's the Kanye West thing, preferring the old Kanye and not the new Kanye. It's like, but then he's not the same person that he was when he made College Dropout. And it's like, it's the same with any band, any musician. You can't repeat that process, and the amount of times people have done it, revisited things for the money, and it's just backfired. A good one that comes to mind is I'm sure history would love to forget about it, but the 2008 version of Thriller, Thriller 25 or whatever.
Oh, right.
Who did that?
And you had like Fergie and Akon, and
yeah.
Kanye did a remix of Thriller, I believe, on that.
Kanye was
Will
on
I
there.
Am did Pretty Young Thing. Yeah, it was not
I
it.
mean,
wasn't great.
I'm sure at the time they thought like, ah, man, this is great. We've got all these like big names of the time, and it's gonna be great. And we're putting them all together on Thriller. And
I think
but it's
Pharrell
just-
did Billie Jean.
I think
Did he?
Pharrell did Billie Jean. Yeah, Pharrell was
Yeah.
on there. Yeah, it's crazy on paper. Even still, even still.
Right.
But creating with the mindset of I hope this stands the test of time is fucking impossible.
Impossible.
Like how are you like, oh God, please don't let me be cringe in 10 years. Like,
Right.
you know, please don't let me be cringe in 40
and
years.
even when like people try and do like sequels to things, so Eminem did it right with like the Marshall Mathers
Marshall
EP2
Mathers,
or
yeah.
LP2, and even
The Blueprint 3.
Blueprint
Yeah.
3 didn't Buster do it as well? He did
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he
level
did.
event too.
Fiction level event too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like
That was just a whole bunch
that
of old
name
songs
already.
Yeah.
That you can't have a part 2 to an extinction level event.
Already off
already
to a bad
happened.
start.
on it.
It already
Extinction
happened.
level already
It's
happened.
extinct.
The only exception is Dre 2001 because it's the Chronic, right?
That's it.
It's
Fair.
like
That's
the
it.
Chronic too, but
Yeah.
like because
Yeah.
it's got
Chronic
a slightly
2001.
different name, it's like yeah.
That one works.
It works, yeah.
That's probably the only exception.
That's the only, and it might have been better. Like
It's
Yeah.
because you have a lot of writers.
I mean,
a
hey,
lot of cooks in that kitchen.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see. Avengers
Damn.
Infinity War and Avengers Endgame is better than Avengers 1, I believe. I think it is.
Funkway Bounce too? No.
Say
No.
what? Funkway?
Funkwave bounce too. No.
No.
Not
No.
a chance.
No.
I think it came out too late though.
It came out way too late.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm gonna be going down this rabbit hole.
Hey, Confessions Part 2 is better than Confessions
Bad
Part 1
musical
though.
sequels.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another episode. That's fantastic. Thank you.
That's
You-
my
that's gonna be your part 2.
Yeah, that's my qualm with Justice and all of those French artists is that they were in no goddamn rush to put anything out. They're like,
Yo,
yeah, yeah, like
Please.
Ed Banger could have had 9,000 releases, and they're like, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah.
It's like,
dog. The second album from Justice took a decade.
they were touring dance for so long, or it was just like there, and now it's made its way full circle again, where it's like it'll still go off, like with the younger generation. There
Hey,
was
the
no
Carter
rush.
2 is better than the Carter though. Carter 3 is better than Carter 2 and 1.
Well, after
They just keep
that,
getting those
it's
kept
kinda-
getting better and better.
Except for 4.
Except
yeah,
for 4.
Yeah.
That took too long.
Yeah, it did. It did.
All right. We have
Sorry,
a couple questions
Rebels.
that we have to ask. We could be on here forever. We have a couple questions that we have to ask to tidy up this podcast to ship it out, starting with
I'll go first.
or Travis.
You go
I'll go first because we were already talking about deadlines, and we all know that the MCU is crazy with deadlines when it comes to their VFX people. That therefore forcing the MCU to take a step back and delay some films and stuff. So along the lines of the MCU, we are developing our DJ Biopic cinematic universe. So in our DJ Biopic cinematic universe, who is playing Louis? And it could be anybody in the entertainment realm, dead or alive or animated.
You know what? It would be really funny to like pick someone really fucking old to like play me a young. That'd be great. Like I'd pick like Michael Caine
There
or
we
like
go. I love it.
or like Anthony Hopkins or someone like someone really fucking
I
old
love it.
and get them to play like
17-year-old.
17-year-old me. Yeah.
Yo, Michael
Just
Caine.
put out this song called Love.
Yeah, put it out.
old
Love.
as
Michael
Amazing.
Caine.
He's got a backwards hat on. Like,
Hello, fellow youths. How are you?
hello, youth.
I'm rocking with that. Should we do Michael Caine and Anthony Hopkins both?
Swap them
Yeah.
out.
It
Swap
could be
them out.
like maybe it needs a scene where like they're both like crying, you know, like the Batman scene, you know, like where he thinks Batman's dead, like that, and then maybe like Anthony Hopkins a little bit sad too, and like have them both next to each other in the
Next to
scene.
each
They're both really
Yeah.
the
good.
viewer
I
is
like
just
that.
like oh, it broke the wall. At that
Yeah.
point, they're just like
Like, what is going on?
It's like a weird Inception moment. So they're actually the same person.
Yeah.
Is it you're the dude explaining to your girlfriend what's happening while watching the movie?
It's the same person.
So they're actually the same
that
person.
guy, yeah.
But Anthony Hopkins is his inner self.
He said on this
physical self.
podcast he wanted to do two people on playing
So
him.
they did it, and now
This is the scene where he makes love.
this is him making love. It's gonna be huge. People
I
are gonna
love
think
this
he's
scene.
Daft Punk. Which
And it's just
Daft Punk is played by Bert and Ernie. It's gonna be
Daft Punk
it's
is
just them
also
with the
played
Daft
by
Punk
Michael
helmets
Caine.
on.
No, Daft Punk is Michael Caine and Anthony.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The viewer's like, God damn it, I hate this movie, but I'm gonna watch the whole thing. I don't have a choice. I'm in it.
I hate this movie, but we gotta finish it.
Hello, I'm Michael Caine, and welcome to Daft Punk. You're like, what?
He takes off his helmet and just puts hello.
Yeah, he's just holding it on for the rest of the movie, so we know it's him.
How is Michael Caine playing both Thomas Bangalter and Guy at the same time? God damn it. Neat.
Okay, Nico.
Well, in reference to the Pepsi you've been drinking all day, what I would like to ask you is, we are setting our friends up with fast food endorsement deal. What is the Lewis meal and where is it? So what is your go-to fast food order?
Oh man, what, like an actual brand?
It has to be a brand. Like, you can't just make something up. Like, so which fast food establishment is your jam and what is your go-to order?
Oh man, I'd probably go with, this is going to be controversial because I know they suck in America, but they're actually really good here. I'm going to go with KFC.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. This is our first KFC one, right?
It's our first KFC.
Yeah,
I believe so, yeah.
I'm going to
And
go KFC.
what are we getting?
I'd probably go with I just like classic just like a classic bucket.
Just fuck up a bucket real quick. Yeah.
Just like a
original or
bucket.
crispy.
Probably original.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any sides?
Probably just fries.
Their fries
Yeah.
are pretty good.
They're
Yeah,
friends.
keep it
Nobody
simple.
gets their fries out here, but they're good.
Yeah.
It's weird though, because I tell you what, it is different in America. I don't know, maybe it's whatever they fucking do to the chicken. I have no idea.
Yeah, it
Wow.
might be
But
the
it's
source.
different,
I
man.
don't think we use chicken
I love this idea
because we had to
of
switch
you,
it to KFC.
I love this idea of you coming to the States and being like, yo, let's go to KFC. And it just stops time where everyone's like, where? Like a tumbleweed
Why?
goes by. Like, no, guys, it's fucking
You know where
great.
else
And
KFC
then
is huge is Japan.
Yeah, they have it at
KFC's
Christmas.
huge in Japan.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tell
and
you
then
what.
go
I
ahead.
tell you what, though. Speaking of like underrated, overrated, I had the very first time I came to LA, I had In-N-Out, and everyone was like, In-N-Out is the best, man. You gotta have In-N-Out, and I had it, and I was just like,
You won't hear that on this
Is it?
podcast.
Mid. Yeah.
Underrated, in my opinion.
You
I mean,
think,
like-
not underrated, overrated.
Overrated.
what? I
That's
was
what I'm about
like-
to say.
No, none. I don't. I think all of us are in agreement that they're a little
Yeah.
bit overrated.
and for fries, you mentioned fries.
Oh, fries
earlier.
are just full blown
worst.
trash.
Just
the
cardboard.
worst. The worst.
Honestly, just bad. They're just not good.
Mm-mm.
No.
They're fresh,
It's a novelty.
but it's just a fucking potato.
it's the EDM. It's the EDM of burger chains.
It's just a potato with salt. It's not, and it's hardly even cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a strong in and out review.
And then I'm assuming you're drinking a Pepsi with your KFC order.
maybe a Sprite. We'll go
Okay.
Sprite.
It would be because they're Pepsi products now. So you'd be drinking a
Not the Sierra Mist. What is it
what is
called
Sierra
now?
Mist now?
No, it's called something else now.
What's it called?
Oh my god, it's
Like
gonna drive me-
Splashy or something.
Splash,
Sunny.
Sun.
Oh my god, Sierra Mist is.
I don't know if
now-
this is international. This might just be some crap by us. It's
I think it is.
They got rid of Sierra
Starry.
Mist.
Starry.
Yeah, Sierra Mist is no longer in the States. It's called Starry now.
Yes.
So, but also if you're like, oh no, Sierra Mist, like drink a Sprite, like have a Sprite for a
Yeah,
while.
grow up.
100%.
Drink a
Yeah,
Sprite.
grow up.
But if you're at
100%.
KFC and they serve Pepsi products, you're gonna have to drink a Starry.
Or Mountain Dew.
Oh, that's not the same, bro.
It's close.
Mountain Dew is not a Sprite.
It's in the same neighborhood.
It's
Oh,
grape.
no.
What is
Oh,
Mountain
no.
Dew? Is it grapefruit?
I don't know. That's
Nobody knows. Nobody
yeah.
knows.
That's a good question.
That's a mystery.
But it should not be that color at all.
No, it shouldn't.
Yo.
That's a whole nother podcast. We have our podcast playlist. Every week, our guest adds one song that they want the world to hear. What is your song?
Oh man. One
And not
song.
Thriller 2008 either. We can't do
Dang.
that. What a punishment. Here's my gift to the world. Thriller 2008.
I'm trying to think. Let me pull up Spotify here. I'm gonna see what I've like been absolutely rinsing recently. Let's see. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a Talking Heads song. There's a Talking Heads song called "Born Under Punches," and then in brackets, "The Heat Goes On." I think it's the first song. Yes, it's the first song from "Remain in Light," which is their 1980 album, and that song is just like, it's like basically a loop, but obviously they're a band, so they're just playing the same thing over and over and over and over, but it's like so unbelievably funky, like, and nothing changes for the whole song pretty much. Like the vocal changes, but the instrumentation is pretty much the same, but it's just something about it. It's like it kind of puts you in a trance. It's and it's so like upbeat and so like fast tempo. But yeah, it's just like it barely like it barely plays together. Like the guitar is like so like loose, and like the bass is so loose, and the somehow it all fits and it all gels. And I can hear like so much influence in the song. I can hear like bits of LCD sound system in there, and I can hear like I don't know, even like even the stuff that they must have been inspired by. I can hear like bits of disco and bits of like African kind of funk music and stuff. Like yeah, I just find the song like fascinating, and it's quite long as well, and it's just one of those songs where I will never get bored, even though it is essentially the same thing over and over. It's just like that good of an idea, that good of a loop that I could listen to it for hours. So
it's just such a bizarre song too. You know, I think you mentioned it LCD, you could hear some inspiration. I heard it in Hot Chip over and over. I heard it in Laid Back White Horse, you know, like all of those, it's all kind of in that same neighborhood. And it's full credit to David Byrne, you know, just the madman of David Byrne, hearing these different sounds and ideas. It's just fucking awesome. The whole album rules. If you guys haven't listened to the Talking Heads discography, should be a big takeaway today, because there's so many ventures you can go down, and hearing other artists from them, even go listen to Tom Tom Club, go listen to stuff like that. You know, there's a lot to it. Let people know where they can find you on socials, and let them know, although you already mentioned it, any other projects that you feel people should be checking out from you right now.
Sure. So you can find me at I am Louis La Roche. That's LOUISLAROCHE. Like I'm pretty much working on the album, but I've also got a couple of remixes coming out soon. One of an artist in the UK called Mette, which is METTE. The song's called Mama's Eyes, and I think my remix will be out in June, I think. And if you haven't checked the original out, it's really good. It's kind of like a bit Beyonce sounding. It's really cool. What else? Pretty much like, just like I say, like still working on library stuff, still working on trying to get my stuff out there, and in terms of like placements and stuff, and working with different people and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm planning on doing like probably more towards like the end of the year. Gonna get back out on the road again, but we're still kind of like putting that together. So I can't really say anything yet, but yeah. So hopefully that comes to fruition as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love it. I love it. We have had such a good time talking to you today. It's been so much fun. As someone that's played your music for eons and eons and eons in the club.
All three of us.
Yeah.
Definitely all three of us.
Yeah.
Cool.
We wanted to make sure we could give you your flowers and give you the opportunity to sound off on American EDM and American dubstep. No, we had such a good time, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for taking the time. Shout out to Big Once that set this whole thing up. He made a retweet, and I was like, oh, we would love to have Louis on the podcast. And shout out to the Bee Gees too. That kind of led us down that rabbit hole. That it all goes back to the Bee Gees.
Did I see? I might be making this up, but didn't I see that you guys might be having A-Track on the show?
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah,
it's coming up.
That's dope. Yeah. I've met him a couple of times, and yeah, just like nicest dude. Like,
any questions for him? You got?
Trying to think.
We're going to be talking mostly about his record collection. I can tell you that much. That extensive record collection he's got a whole record room, which is crazy.
I'm wondering, like, I mean, I guess this is like more of a production question, but I'm thinking like, I'm wondering what he used for the main like bass sound in his Heads Will Roll remix. You know, like that main sound. Like, I'm wondering if it's like a VST of the time, because that was such a, like, you know, again, like a Bloghouse kind of remix. I'm wondering what he used, because I feel like that was like his breakout from, well, his breakout into production, really. Like, before that, he was just, you know, a DJ and known for his you know, amazing DJ stuff. But like the Heads Will Roll remix was like opened up that whole massive thing. Yeah. And the other thing I'd love to know actually is about the duck sauce stuff. Like, I'd love to know whether like, do they take it in turns with who decides to put what record on the table as to this is what we're going to sample? I wonder if it's whether the majority of it is coming from Armand, or whether Armand comes in once A-Track has an idea, or does it change every single time they do a song? Because I find that fascinating. Like, some of the records that they pick, you know, are
they can be so obscure.
Yeah. Especially like the very first one that they put out anyway. It's like that was like dying to, if you've heard the original, that was dying to be sampled. And it's nobody knew that record. Like, no one knew that record before they you know, put their hands on it. So I wonder where that comes from.
I can't tell who picked the records on any of that, which is
because they're really weird records.
Yeah.
What was that sample? It was First Edition.
Yeah.
It was
Final Edition.
Yeah.
Was it First
Final Edition?
Final Edition.
Maybe Final Edition. Yeah.
Final. It's final. It's final. Not first. It's final.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it's edition, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure YouTube will let us know bright and vibrant in the comments. No, but I mean, I think that will wrap it up for today, clocking in at nearly almost 3 hours. We appreciate you so much for hopping on and taking that ride with us.
Final edition.
Final edition. Before you roll out, last question before you roll out, any advice real quick that you'd like to share for upcoming producers or DJs?
Pretty much what we touched on, to be honest. Like, the two things I always say is, one, like, don't don't rush things, like take your time and sit on things. And the other is just learn a synth like the back of your hand, because if you know how to like get the sounds out of your head and put them into reality, then it's like you're away, you're laughing, because like so many people just rely on like presets and clicking through the next one, and it's like if you'll feel so much happier if whatever that sound is, or there's a sound that you like on a record or whatever that you're trying to replicate, if you know a synth like the back of your hand, then you'll know how to get there. You'll know how to what buttons to press and what sliders to pull or whatever, and you'll be able to get there. So just whether that's an actual synth or whether that's Serum or whatever, just like stick to one and know it really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking cool.
Louis La Roche, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you for taking the time, and we are looking forward to seeing you touring. We're looking forward to hearing this album.
Yes,
absolutely. And if you come to the States, you know who to hit up for a little KFC lunch.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So,
I'm passing on that KFC lunch, but
if you go to
I'll sit in
the UK,
with
Travis, you know who to hit up for.
KFC lunch. Come down to Austin. There's a Whataburger right next to a KFC.
Go to Whataburger every time.
Yeah,
you can just shit your pants two ways. I love that.
Hey, yo, Whataburger's not that bad, bro. You're not doing it. You're not
That's
doing
a whole
that.
nother podcast. We're not getting in on this. It's been 2 hours, 52 minutes. That'd be another hour, Travis. We're not getting in on this. Stay tuned for us. We'll be dropping another episode next week. Until then, peace.